Everyone thinks the Spartans were soldiers. They weren't. Soldiers can leave. Soldiers have lives. You are not going to be a soldier. You are going to be a weapon. Your name is Scavincius.
Scavincius.
You are 7 years old and your mother just walked away from you at a gate. You are holding a wooden sword that is heavier than you are. Your father told you in exactly 7 words to come back with your shield or on it. You don't fully understand what that means yet. You will. Let's start. To understand why you're at these gates, you need to understand what happened the day you were born. You were inspected, naked in front of a council of old men in a chamber called the Lesche. They studied your limbs, your chest, your eyes, the way your tiny fists clenched. They were not checking if you were healthy. They were checking if you were valuable, if they had found anything wrong. A weak leg, a sickly cry, a slow eye. They would have carried you to a place called the Hoplite, a rocky chasm outside the city, and left you there. Sparta did not raise weakness. Sparta removed it. You passed the inspection. That is the only reason you exist. Sparta lent you 20 years, maybe 50 if you trained hard, 60 if you were favored by every god in the temple, and the entire time you owed her every single breath. Now you are 7 and you are standing at those gates. And the man who walks out to receive you is not your father. He is a Paidonomos, an instructor, and he is 40 years old, scarred from his temple to his ankle, missing 2 fingers from his left hand. He does not greet you. He does not learn your name today. He learns it later when he has decided whether you'll survive him. You and 59 other 7-year-old boys are now a unit, a bua. Some of them will become the closest brothers you will ever have. Some will die in the next 13 years, and some will become the men you have to outlive to graduate. You don't know which yet, neither do they. You are given 1 cloak, 1, for all weather. Summer heat off the plain, the winter freeze, the mountain wind off Taygetus that cuts through cloth like wire. The same cloak through all of it for the next 13 years. You are given no shoes. Your feet will harden into something the instructors call pelmata, which means soles. You will run 20 miles a day on rocks until, by the time you are 9, your feet will not bleed even when they should. You sleep on reeds. You cut yourself from the riverbank. You bathe once a year. You eat what they give you, which is never enough, and that is the point. You are supposed to be hungry. Hunger is part of the curriculum. If you want more food, you are expected to steal it from the Helots, the enslaved population that farms Sparta's land. If you steal successfully, you eat. If you get caught, you are beaten. Not for stealing, but for being bad at stealing. That distinction will matter to you in 15 years when you are alone in enemy territory with no orders. This is who Sparta is making you. 3 years in, your body is leaner than it should be, and your mind is faster than it should be. You wake at the first light and run until the sun is high. And then you fight with wooden swords until your hands are raw, and then you wrestle naked in the dirt with the other boys in your bua. And then you fight some more. You don't cry anymore when you lose. You don't cry when you win either. Crying is something the 7-year-old version of you used to do. You barely remember him. There is an annual ceremony at the temple of Artemis Orthia where the boys steal cheese from the altar while the priests whip them with reeds. It is not a punishment. It is a test. The boy who endures the most lashes without making a sound wins glory for his entire bua. Some of them die during this. The priests do not stop because stopping would mean that Sparta failed to forge a man, and Sparta does not fail. This is education, by the way. You have made 3 friends. You don't call them friends. The word doesn't really exist for you. You call them philoi. And what that actually means, when you translate it honestly, is the men you will eventually die for. One is named Lycos, and he is the fastest runner in your bua. He sleeps next to you in the barracks and shares the bread he steals. The other is Hagnon, the slowest, who you have protected from the instructor's stick more times than you can count. The third one's name you will remember on the day he dies. Not before. You don't talk about feelings. Spartans don't have feelings. Spartans have brothers. You are 14. The instructors come to you and they tell you it is time for the Krypteia. You are not given supplies. You are not given a destination. You're given one instruction. Enter the countryside alone with a knife and survive. Hunt Helots. Kill them. Do not be seen. This is what Sparta does. The Helots outnumber the Spartans 7-1, and Sparta keeps them terrified by sending teenagers into their villages with weapons and a state-sanctioned license to kill. You do not refuse. Refusing means you do not graduate. Not graduating means you are not a citizen. Not being a citizen means you are nothing, so you go. You find a Helot in his field at dusk. He is older than your father would be if you still had a father. He sees you walking out of the tree line, and he does not run because he knows what you are. He lowers his eyes instead. You do what you were sent to do. You do not look at his face. You walk away. The blood does not feel any particular way. You don't talk about this back at the barracks. None of you talk about this. Every Spartan who has ever graduated has done this thing. And it is the secret no one says out loud. That night you lie on your reeds and you stare at the ceiling and you wait for the feeling to come. The feeling does not come. That is when you understand they have already finished. The boy at the gates is dead. You killed him at 14 before anyone else got to. You are 20. 13 years of the Agoge are behind you. You have been beaten, starved, made to kill, made to run, made to wrestle, made to endure. You are not a child anymore. You are not really a man, either. You are something else, and Sparta has a word for it. Hoplite. You are given armor for the first time, a bronze cuirass shaped to your chest, a bronze helm with a horsehair crest that turns your head into a single intimidating silhouette, greaves for your legs, a short sword called a xiphos, and most importantly, a hoplon, the round shield that gives your unit its name. Your shield is not yours. Your shield is for the man standing to your left because his sword arm is exposed, and your shield is the only thing protecting his ribs from a Persian spear. If you drop your shield, your brother dies. If your brother drops his shield, you die. There is no individual in a phalanx. There is only the line. You join a secession, a mess group of 15 men who eat together, sleep in the barracks together, fight together. These are your philoi now. Lycos is in your secession. Hagnon did not graduate. You don't ask what happened to him. You don't need to. Your first battle is on a dry hillside somewhere east of Sparta. You don't remember the politics. You don't care about the politics. Your polemarch told you who to fight, and you formed up at the front. The phalanx moves as one body. Your shield is locked against Lycos' shield, which is locked against the next man, which is locked against the next, 8 ranks deep and 100 shields wide. You march forward in a slow, deliberate rhythm. The spears of the front rank lowered, the spears of the second rank resting on the front rank's shoulders. The entire formation a single bristling animal made of bronze and discipline. When you meet the enemy, the sound is not what you expected. It is not screams, it is not war cries. It is the sound of shields hitting shields. A wood and bronze collision that vibrates through your teeth and into your spine. And then the pushing starts. The Greeks have a word for it, othismos. The front ranks press forward, the rear ranks press forward against them, and the whole formation becomes a wrestling match between 2 walls of meat and metal. You stab through the gap in your shield. You feel the spear find something soft. You don't look at the face. You hold the line. You push. The enemy breaks first because they always break first against Spartans. That is the whole point of being Spartan. You are the wall that does not move. When it is over, you are covered in someone else's blood. You don't know whose. You and Lycos help each other up, and he has a fresh cut across his cheek that will become a scar. You laugh once, and the laugh sounds wrong coming out of your throat. That night, after the dead are counted, you eat, you sleep, you do not dream. You are 32, you have fought in 9 campaigns. You have killed men whose names you don't know in lands whose names you barely remember. You have outlived 2 members of your original secession. Lycos is still alive, scarred so completely that strangers stop staring after a while. The 2 of you have become the thing the city points at when it tells children what to become. Sparta sends you to put down a Helot Uprising near Messenia. The uprising, you're told, is being led by a child, a Paidonomos. He cannot be more than 8 years old. He has gathered other children. He has armed them with farm tools and pieces of broken weapons. He is, the polemarch says, without any particular tone, an inspiration to the others. Killing him will stop the inspiration. You go. The boy meets you in a clearing with a spear he can barely lift. He does not run. He has the exact same face you had at his age, standing at the gates of the Agoge. Wide eyes, trying not to cry, trying to look like a man before he has any reason to know what one is. You do not hesitate. You stab him through the chest cleanly the way you were taught 15 years ago. He falls. The other children scatter into the trees. You walk back to the camp. Lycos asks if it is done. You say it is done. You eat dinner together. The 7-year-old you used to be, the one you killed at 14 during the Krypteia, would have asked why. He would have demanded an answer. He would have refused, maybe. He would at least have felt something, but you killed that kid a long time ago. Sparta needed him gone. He was in the way. You have a wife. You don't live with her. Spartan men live in the barracks until they are 30, and even after 30, you are allowed only brief visits. You have 2 sons. When the older one turns 7, you walk him to the gates of the Agoge yourself. You do not kneel down. You do not soften the moment. You tell him, in exactly the same 7 words your father told you, come back with your shield, or on it. He cries. He tries to hide it. He thinks you don't see, but you see because you remember exactly what that looked like from outside the gate and what it felt like from inside his eyes. You turn and walk away. The cycle is not a metaphor. The cycle is the city. You are 60. You are still in the barracks because Sparta does not really retire her men. She just gives them quieter work. You teach the boys now. You are the Paidonomos. You inspect the babies in the Lesche, looking for the same things the old men looked for in you 53 years ago. You find a baby boy whose breathing is not strong, and you carry him to the Hoplite, and you leave him there. You're not cruel. You're not kind. You're Spartan. Your knees ache. Your back is held together by scar tissue and habit. Lycos died in a campaign 6 years ago, alone in a foreign field, and they brought his body back on his shield exactly as he asked. The instructor you feared at 7, the scarred man with the missing fingers, would now look up to you. He is buried somewhere. You do not remember exactly where. You die at 63, quietly in your sleep in a barracks that smells the same as the one you were assigned at 7. You are buried with honor. Your shield is laid on the stone above your grave. You came back with your shield. You came back exactly the way he told you to. You just don't quite know who he is anymore. The father who said it is dust. The son you said it to is now a hoplite stabbing through gaps and shields somewhere east of here. The 7-year-old who heard it at the gates is 56 years dead. You have not been him in a long time. Sparta took every version of you and used them up. She thanks you with a stone. Tomorrow you wake up as something else. The chains are different. The cycle isn't.